Welcome to the Eclipse Ring of Fire Astral on the half of 2020, which marks the middle of the road to the synchronization on the Great Conjunction at the end of the year. This video is especially made for those who are following the astral synchronization, a quick symbolic example of the astral energies that will later be reflected on the world. Then I will decode it when it gets completed in the next 3 months. So let's get started. So in summary, we have an eclipse ring of fire on the solstice with the second impact of Jupiter and Pluto. While the pentagram of Venus is completed, Mars warrior arrives at his rulership, we retrograde to the beginning of the year, and the bomb gets activated. All this in the axis of the Milky Way of the fight against the beast and the eye of enlightenment, the gate to the underworld, and the gate of God. And 621 is just 6 months from 1221, when the Great Conjunction occurs until 2021. This is just a small synchronization of what is to come. The astral vision begins. A day before the eclipse occurs the solstice that marks the opening between the physical and the astral world, when the sun reaches its maximum point, and exactly when it makes conjunction with the lunar node of destiny or dragon's head, awakening the beast. And on top of that, at the silver gate in the south of the Milky Way, called the Gate of Men, to the underworld, where the hunter fights with his axe against the beast, right on the lunar mansion of the deer that indicates the impulse of search for the food of the gods. The next day, on 621, the moon reaches the sun and the eclipse called the Ring of Fire occurs, which like an astral satellite will transmit all the energy captured from America to the eastern continents for the next 3 months, like a temporary blackout. The dragon's eye crosses Africa, the Middle East, and China, ending into the also called Pacific's Ring of Fire, like a magnifying glass that concentrates solar energy like a laser. In India, this is Rahu eating the light, the nigredo of alchemy that disintegrates matter on the way to the great work. The sun and the moon, united in the ring of fire, are like the awakening of Shiva, whose eyes are one the moon, the other the sun, and the third fire, that when open is the destroyer of worlds and of evil, who sees beyond time, present, past, and future. In sync with the creator of the nuclear bomb, who quote, "Now I am death, the destroyer of worlds," who called the test site Trinity, with a pyramid like the symbol of the great alchemical work, similar to the third eye and the symbol of the Great Conjunction. A super-astral synchronization. And the 21 is the tarot card of the world, the fulfillment of the astral synchronization that, when understanding it, puts us in the center of the storm, where we can clearly see the repetition of the cycles without letting ourselves be carried away by them. The next day happened the second conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn in reverse, repeating and reviewing what started in March. But this time they are not accompanied by the warrior Mars, Jupiter versus Pluto, the electric eagle against the phoenix, the lightning god against the god of hell, the Christ crossing hell into the resurrection against the horsemen of the apocalypse, like a volcano exploding in a thunderstorm. And this clash next to the Golden Gate on the north of the Milky Way, or Gate of God, into the astral heaven. In the brain is the pineal gland that activates the astral mind. All of this is going to expand in the next 3 months, accelerating the synchronization faster and faster, giving you flashes of the grand finale in December. A mega astral synchronization. 3 days later, Venus moves forward, having completed the lower point of the pentagram that started on 2012 and reached its climax on 6/3/2020, in conjunction with the Sun in the sign of the Twins, and that, with the recent crossing of the Moon, finishes activating the card of Death and Priestess, That is on the Kabbalistic path between the Sun and Venus, and shows the Venus pentagram on the flag next to the horizon where the Sun is between twin pillars, like those of the priestess with the Moon, card in the path between the Sun and the Moon towards Pluto. Moon, Mother, Sun, Father, pentagram close, in the legend, was the exorcism of the devil. In the last 3 days of month 6, Mars of Action enters its signs of leadership and ignites the fire warrior, of challenge to the great conjunction in the sign of government. Now people take the initiative to fight on their own, challenging authority the rest of the year. Mars in Aries is the man on fire, and in alchemy is iron, like Iron Man, the red hero, just like Mars, the red planet. And the alchemical process of calcination begins, which with intense heat disintegrates the toxic elements to begin the spiritual battle. In the sign of Aries, his ally is now Chiron, the centaur with the key that rules the snake tamer. In the constellation of the Eye of Enlightenment, the key of astral vision gets activated, and the card of the Aryan War Emperor, the organized man, enters the stage, whose Kabbalistic path is also synchronized with the star of whose power is astrology, which in the predictive magazine Economist is on the red planet, referring to the article A Generation of Prophets. An ultra-astral synchronization. On 7-2, Jupiter leaves the conjunction in reverse, returning the situation to the way it was in March, as if we were going back in time even to 2019, but mixed and overloaded. In the 7th month of the past year, I made my first astral prediction, so the synchronizations begins to repeat, but stronger and faster, like the Ouroboros that eats its own tail, like the time traveler who returns to where it all started, but now knows what is going to happen and has the weapon to change the story. And finally, one last thing before finishing. On 7-14, very close to the anniversary of the first nuclear bomb, the Sun opposes Pluto, which gave its name to nuclear plutonium, in the lunar mansion of the Sun of Victory, and rules the magnetic field. And as we have already seen, it is near the constellation of the Eye of Enlightenment, ruled by Chiron, the key which that same day makes conjunction with Mars of War, while the Moon makes conjunction with Uranus, that also gave name to nuclear Uranus, just following the numerology lessons of the former IMF directors, as we saw in the video IMF Astral Magic 777. And this last sync on 7-14 in numerology is 777, 3 days from the anniversary of the original bomb, with date in numerology is 77, which was later dropped by the box star 77. And 77 of course is 14, like in the date 7-14. A synchronization, super, mega, ultra, astral. The Eclipse Ring of Fire is also a tour beyond time, and in the midst of darkness it will reveal the astral energy that we have already been projecting since the beginning of the year. Now you will see the first results of the synchronization, and people will see the astral lights manifesting as a sign that we can focus energy through time to affect the future before it arrives, which will end up awakening after the great conjunction, where many will say, I am astral.